Thanks. Shut up. Thank you. Let's be honest, true confessions of the rich and famous can be a turn-on. I mean, it's fine when you see a star through the sanitized eyes of their public relations people, but what really catches our attention is when we see the real, flawed, flesh and blood person behind the carefully crafted PR image. Now, everybody knows Willie Nelson, for example. We love the guy. But did you know that Willie's been singing the same old cheating song with wife number 3, at least according to wife number 2, and at least according to the Star magazine? Well, now, Willie's come out with his own tell-all autobiography, and the subtitle of this book could have been To All the Girls I've Loved Before. You also all know the rock band Kiss. Well, although Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley have sold over 50 million records, they still say the main reason they got into the music business was to meet women. And wouldn't you love to hear their true confessions? Well, let me introduce them to you. Originally hailing from the great metropolis of Abbott, Texas, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Willie Nelson. And those monsters of rock and roll, those pursuers of pleasure, from Kiss, here's Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. True confession, sex on the road, that's our focus today on Geraldo. Willie's image as a, good old down-home country boy is so mellow that when you read this book, I mean, this is a sizzling autobiography, and at least you think you know him. Let me read you first an excerpt from Kinky Friedman's Washington Post review of Willie's autobiography. I'm quoting. As an adult, Willie has laid down drunk on a snowy street in Nashville and waited for a truck to run him over. Ran for his life from various jealous wives and irate gun-toting husbands. Shot Ray Price's prize chickens for getting a little overzealous with his hens. He also admits having drunk beer and smoked marijuana on the roof of the White House with a high-ranking presidential aide that he refuses to identify. There's more. In his film career, this musical giant once uttered this memorable line to his co-star Robert Redford. Quote, "I don't know about you, but I'm going to find me a girl who can suck the chrome off a trailer hitch," end quote. He's the president of Farm Aid. Welcome again, the award-winning, gold record-selling, picnic-holding legend in his own time, Will Huey Nelson. Willie Hugh Nelson. The founders of Kiss, on the other hand, say they are living proof that you can play the game your way and win. When asked what makes a rock star successful, for example, Gene Simmons says large appendages. He'll explain that, I guess, as the program proceeds. Paul Stanley's bottom line, life is not a rehearsal. So from Kiss, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons. Welcome. Willie, I'm telling you, I did not expect a hot book like this from, aren't you afraid of some backlash? I mean, this is really a tell-all autobiography.
I just couldn't keep my mouth shut.
Let me find a quote. Good reporter, I'll quote. Quote, "Marijuana is like sex. If I don't do it every day, I get a headache."
Well, that's actually a misprint.
It's too late to back out now.
truth
You need
is
some aspirins?
no, the truth is if I don't get it every day, I don't get a headache. Is what should that.
Are you talking about grass now or women?
Well, either one. Usually I get more headaches with women.
Are you divorced now from the third wife?
We're getting divorced.
You've been married most of your adult life, but obviously marriage and life on the road don't go together. Have you discovered that now? Do you think forever, or do you think you'll try it again?
Well, I always kept trying to make it work, and as anybody knows that travels is 250 days a year. It's real hard, and I tried it once, and the road caused it to end. I tried it twice, the same thing, traveling too much and not spending enough time with your family. Absence does not make the heart grow fonder, regardless of what you may have heard.
Is the temptation the problem?
It's just the absence of not being. If you don't grow together, you grow apart. If you're not with each other enough, then your interests start changing, her interest starts changing. You're not thinking together, you're not planning together. Your lives are not intertwined anymore.
But you do have tremendous opportunities to have, kind of frivolous relationships. Don't they, predestine any kind of serious relationship to failure?
Well, if you do those things constantly, naturally they will. I don't think adultery per se was the problem of our not getting along. I think it was because I wasn't running around every night. I was out there working. You can't work 250 days a year on the road and do all the things that that they say I've done in my life.
When reading this book, you have squeezed an awful lot in there. I gotta say. Listen to it. Martha found out I'd been running around on her while I was in Nashville by myself. Then I found out she'd been running around on me too. To my way of thinking, it was okay for me to cheat on her, but it sure as hell wasn't okay for her to cheat on me. This is not a quote that will sit well with feminists.
Well, that was 20, 30 years ago, and I was one of those macho-type guys that really believed that way at the time. We had been raised to believe that way, that the woman should stay home and the man should do this, and with a lot of double standards. And I realize now that it's just as important for the man to be a good husband as it is for the wife to be a good wife. These things I have learned over the years.
We note also for the record that yes, and it sounds good, but note for the record that Willie is no longer married. Is it because you feel you're constitutionally unable to be?
Well, I think it's just hard. A guy who travels as much, and not only a musician, an insurance salesman, a truck driver, anybody that's gone, continually gone, and spends millions of miles on the road in their life, cannot spend the quality time that they need to spend with their loved ones. And
the one thing that strikes me, I mean, there's a lot of things that are great about your autobiography, and I feel really that I know you so much better now. You seem a guy that, while making all kinds of money, really didn't give a damn about money. You cared about having a good time, being with your pals. You spent it as fast as you would earn it. Is that accurate?
Well, I'm still doing that. Yeah, faster. I'm still doing that. I still believe money is to be enjoyed, and you can't keep it. You have to keep it circulating, I think.
I mean, even when you first made your, money on writing, royalties from the records that you wrote that other people recorded and made hits out of before people really knew Willie U. Nelson. As soon as you get the check, you'd get the best penthouse, even if it was in the Holiday Inn. You'd get the best place. You'd cater it for all the guys in the band, everyone near you.
Yeah, this was back when I was playing with Ray Price. It was in 1961 we're talking about. And I was a young guy who never had any money before. And all of a sudden I got a big check for $4,000 or $5,000, and that was a huge amount of money to me. So the first thing I did is rent a penthouse and have a party for my friends. I didn't think that was too unusual at the time. Maybe it is. I don't know, but I think now if I got a check for that much, I might figure out something else to do with it. I don't know.
And yet, when you wrote On the Road Again on an airplane on a air sickness bag sitting next to Sidney Pollack, that expressed the real deep down affection you had for that gypsy lifestyle, didn't it?
Yeah, I enjoy playing music, and I enjoy traveling. I enjoy having an audience show up and enjoy our music, and they go away happy, and we go away happy. And to me, that's a perfect day.
Do you think that there will ever be a time when you will settle down? You've settled down, what, 3, 4, 5, 6 times already?
I'm settled now.
when's the next time you hit the road?
Well, I'm on the road now. We played in Cleveland last night.
It's in your blood, isn't it? I mean, you're a troubadour.
That's what I do. I really enjoy playing music, and I enjoy traveling. I enjoy waking up in a new town every day. I enjoy it when I walk out of a strange motel and somebody says, "Hi, Willie." I mean, that knocks me out because I don't know him. He knows me. I made a new friend. And it's like waking up in your hometown every day.
I had no idea what a crazy guy you could be, though. I mean, I'm going to quote again. I guess the roof of the White House is the safest place I can think of to smoke dope. Wait a second. Is this a misprint or?
No, that's actually wasn't supposed to make the book. It was one of the. I had about a 12 or 15 hour tape session with Bud Shrake and I, who wrote the book together.
But and you don't deny it.
I don't deny it happened. I just wish it hadn't been in the book because I think the Carters are great people, and they're great hosts. They had no idea what I was doing, and
let's note that for the record. Willie says President Carter and Rosalind did not know that he was on the roof smoking dope with the high-ranking presidential aide he will not name.
No, they did not know it, and I'm really sorry that they had to find out in a book.
I wonder if the Secret Service knew what was going
on. I doubt that very seriously.
They have to know what's happening on the roof of the White House. We're going to come up with, like, the papers, the secret papers years later when they have everything blacked out under the Freedom of Information Act. Willie Hugh Nelson and blah, blah, blah were seen. Does it embarrass you or just that the Carters didn't know?
Well, it embarrasses me that the Carters didn't know, and I have apologized to them, and I will apologize again to them again.
But you don't apologize for your life.
Well, obviously, that was when I was talking about that. I really didn't make a big deal out of it because I didn't think it was a big deal. It was I was having a beer with a friend. And probably the beer is what made me get up on top of the White House.
You will never be a conformist in the way that the mainstream of society lives, though. But don't you enjoy that aspect of your life? The fact that, A, you're a troubadour. In a way, you're a bohemian almost in your sense of freedom and your need to be free. Yeah,
I love to be free. I love to travel, and I love to, like I say, I love to wake up in a new world every morning.
I want to get to Paul and Jean, but is it true, as your second wife alleges, that when your women get to be 40 years old, you trade them in?
No, that's not true.
And yet Gene Simmons admits.
I can't believe this. As soon as he gets to the bad part, I've been a good boy for the whole. I have kept my mouth shut, this man, and yet Gene Simmons
admits, ladies and gentlemen, that he has photographs of the almost 3,000 partners he has been with.
They're not mine. They're all Willie Nelson's girls.
We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
Let me wrap you in my tender.
Comfort have created a new kind of fabric conditioner.
Oh, I've loved you such a long, long
Pure Silk.
Darling, please say
Pure Silk gives everything you wash a luxurious new softness and a light, fresh fragrance. Comfort Pure Silk. Softness in a material world.
take my breath away. Flying and returning to some secret place to hide. Watching
Okay.
No.
Oh, yes.
Only a fruitcake says no to a cream cake. Cream cake?
No.
Okay, we're back with three well-known troubadours, Billy Nelson, Paul Stanley, and Gene Simmons. Gene, did you really get into the music business for the women?
All right. Honestly, yes. And my contention is that anybody who puts a guitar around their neck, no matter how socially conscious they are, no matter how much they talk about the starving people in Ethiopia, at the end of the night, he wants to go back to the hotel and have a beautiful girl.
But was that a conscious decision when you started? They don't know. This is no applauding for the most popular statement. When you first strung the guitar around your neck, you could not have known that it would have this impact, or did you?
I faked it. I do what every guy does. We bluff. Oh yeah, I can play this thing. Come on, look at me. Anything.
Were you having difficulty with women prior to the guitar?
No, I did okay. It's just somehow when you wipe honey on yourself, there's just more bees that just. It's more appealing. I mean, I like to joke around with it and have a good time with it, but the truth is, it's just a sexier thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a dentist or a plumber, but women seem to be attracted. Women seem to be attracted more to guys on stage who wear more makeup than they do. I don't know why.
You think there's something sociological in this, Paul, or what?
I'm just listening. You know, sometimes people are really glorify what it's like to be on the road, and you get all these pictures, and Gene takes all these photos of women. And he didn't want me to do this, but I brought one along anyway.
This could be an eloquent truth
Not
in
only
this.
that, but she had a sister.
Since I know that girl.
You know her.
Since we're on the subject,
Willie was with her in Cleveland last night. No.
Honest to God, this was not a plant. We were in the dressing room putting on our makeup, and our makeup man handed us something that I'm going to bring out in a second. And he was doing a photo session for a magazine called Modern Bride, and one of the brides wanted something signed. So we did. And you don't know what this is? But honest, it's not it's just one of those things. And the other thing I'd like to talk to you about is this show. I mean, we feel hairless. You guys have all this. Sorry about that.
I'm seldom speechless. But in the process of the life on the road, do the personalities of the women matter to you all?
I think you always try to find somebody that's compatible. It's just for how long you're talking about. Yeah.
But if Gene's up to 3,000, how much time could he have spent? He's not that old.
I don't think.
Well, we're talking quality time as opposed to.
I don't look. I've never been involved with drugs or drinking, and I'm not getting up on a soapbox. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't get high. I've never been high in my life. But that's not the point. I'm not trying to make a statement for you to follow. You go figure it out for yourself. For me, this works. And in the early 70s when we toured, well, we still tour. We just got off of a year-long tour. When you get to Davenport, Iowa, television goes off the air at 9, 10 o'clock at night. You get hog prices at 6 a.m., and there's nothing to do in between. Photography seemed like a good outlet.
But, I mean, you didn't pose these women in their gowns.
Anywhere.
I mean, these are nude photographs of the women that you have.
Yeah, but I'd like to think they're in good taste. They are swinging from flagpoles in hotels. They are out in hallways with signs in front of them, running, doing everything, carrying "We Love Willie Nelson" signs up and down. Anything you can imagine. But obviously, this is just good times, stuff to keep yourself occupied until the next 300-mile trip.
We've always tried to have a good time. I don't think we've ever hurt anybody intentionally. We try to take care of ourselves. People talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But frankly, when anybody else was talking about getting high or drugs, I just thought more sex.
But isn't that an addiction of sorts? I don't want to get too philosophical.
We've heard stories about the Geraldo libido here. I mean, all the girls out there aren't waiting for us.
I haven't written my book yet. No, I'm, as you know, very settled now.
Yeah, I know. I use the same line myself. Ladies, I'm reformed, ladies. I'm looking for a relationship. Yeah, I know that line.
I think anything you enjoy, you do as much as you want. And at some point, if you grow tired, you take a little break. So it's nice to know it's there, though.
What do you mean life is not a rehearsal?
Well, you should go for everything. You know, you don't get a second chance. It's like a one-way trip. Dress nice, go on all the rides. It's kind of like Disneyland if you play it right. Like this roller coaster, and it just doesn't end. So make the most of it. I mean, you can put things off and say, maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe I shouldn't do that, but usually it backfires. 10, 15 years later, you're wondering why you didn't give it a shot. So, I mean, it's not a rehearsal. Let's go for it, have a good time. Don't hurt anybody. Don't hurt yourself.
Do you feel comfortable, Willie, that right now you can do that? You can do or be anybody you want to be?
I was feeling comfortable while you was talking to these guys.
The heat's back.
Well, what was the question?
Is there a great comfort in the fact that you can be whoever you want to be? You can say that if you want to, that you were up on the White House roof or doing whatever you were doing, wherever you were doing.
Well, that was all 10 years ago. I was another guy back then. I did a lot of crazy things back then that I was not proud of. There was more crazier things than that I did that I don't do anymore.
But you weren't hurting anybody. I mean, let the decision on marijuana be for another program. In fact, you were doing something that you were having fun doing. You know, we can, say, oh, this is awful, this is that. But the fact is you were having a good time. You were independent. You were free.
I enjoyed it. We sat up there and we could see the roads coming into the White House. There was one, when you sit on top of the building, the way that place is laid out, there's roads coming in all the way, and it's right in the middle. And it was set up that way, I guess, for security reasons years ago, where all roads led to the White House. And it was really a nice evening up there. The stars were shining. It was beautiful.
Now you're addicted to golf.
We weren't shredding paper in the basement.
What's that?
We were not shredding
papers in the basement. Touche. All right. That's another show about trees and stuff. Yeah, I didn't know that Willie was the star of the Abbott High Panthers, a famous football player.
Oh, yes.
What's the population of Abbott?
322.
How many of them are Nelsons?
Excuse me?
How many of them are Nelsons?
In fact, right now there's probably not any Nelsons there, except when I'm there.
You bought your old doctor's house?
A house that was 100 yards from where I was born. It was the doctor's house who delivered me and also my sister Bobby. And I bought it and stay up there whenever I can. You're a nostalgic
softie.
Yeah.
Hi. 2 questions. One, Jane, I have a 24-year-old beautiful Jewish daughter, and I make great matzo ball soup. I'll get you to settle down. But really, Willie, something you said.
You mean you were kidding about the daughter?
No, I'm not kidding. I have a 26-year-old son in medical school. I'm looking for brides and grooms here.
Oh, well, see her later. The lady in the back row.
Well, Willie, something he said before, and Geraldo, really, this is true. A lot of people think, well, why do people get married who are on the road if you can't settle down? You still have the feeling of home and family, but when you are traveling, that's your job. And if he was like everyone here, he wouldn't be up there, he'd be here. And we'd have no one up there to watch.
Well, do you fault him for trying marriage?
No, not at all. I know marriage is very hard. I'm married almost 30 years to one man. I don't know how he's surviving, but I'm still hanging in there. But very honestly, I know it's very, very difficult at times. It's hard to raise a family. It's hard to make a living. And there are times you feel like saying, what the heck is this all about? Mm-hmm. But if you have a job as you have, and that is your job, and you have to go off and do it, it's difficult for the wife staying home, but you do have to make more of an effort.
She'll be available after the program, gentlemen. Little advice. No, I mean for your advice. They can probably use some. Okay, good.
One question, to Gene and Paul. I seen y'all movie a while back, Kids vs. the Fathom. It was a good movie, wasn't it? I'm just wondering, do y'all plan on making any more movies in the future?
We were banned after that film.
All right, this is Gene. You was a teacher at one time, wasn't you?
Yes.
Okay. As far as the image that you created after you stopped teaching, don't you think that it reflects, to the children that you would, in a negative way?
No, I think it's the most wholesome image you can have, which is that a kid who comes from Israel, which is where I was born, comes here at 9 years of age, hears about the American dream, and makes it come true for himself without having to, in any way, shape, or form, change his personal beliefs. You can have it your own way. Yeah.
I have a question for Willie. You seem like a Jack Kerouac type of guy. Did you really always think that you'd make it, even when you were really down and out and on the road?
Yes, I did. I always thought that something would happen, and I had my heroes, Hank Williams and Ernest Tubb and guys like that I saw that were making it. Yeah, I always felt like one day I would get a hit record or something.
Did you think you'd make a lot of money, or did you think people would recognize you as a songwriting talent or as a performer?
Well, all of those things. In the beginning, it was the songwriting that caught on first, and it was a long time before any records. So,
how do people know that great Patsy Cline? I'm crazy. Willie Nelson wrote that.
I know he's on the road quite a bit. I was just wondering, how many performances do you do a year?
About 250.
With your situation, social situation on the road, to bring it back to that, don't you ever get tired of strangers?
Well, sure. I mean,
strangers in the night?
I think the ideal situation, everybody wants some sort of home life and everybody wants a relationship. I think what we're talking about is something to pass time when you're on the road. You know, we're not talking about a permanent lifestyle. We're talking about something to keep you busy. Some people play cards.
It's true.
I mean, I don't think anybody is really fooling themselves. Everybody knows that whether you're home, nobody really wants to be a milkman, but somebody keeps delivering the milk to the door every day. There's got to be some fringe benefits. Come on. We know that.
But what about when you were, for instance, with Cher? I mean, how the heck did a woman as strong-willed as her put up with you?
She didn't.
No, that story after this break, folks.
Just 5 tokens from Tesco's own label products, and kids get a free meal at any little chef restaurant. That is, as long as you go with them.
The newspaper, delivered in time-honored tradition. But imagine a newspaper that's constantly updated. 15,000 times a day. Covers topics like useful recipes, city news, the latest sports report, and what's on at the theater. Altogether 1,600 pages of useful information. The ultimate newspaper, brought to you by Oracle.
The topic on the table is Cher. How did you balance your crazy life with your life?
I was hoping the commercial would make you forget. I think it's like, what Paul said, you try not to do certain things to hurt certain people. And the most important thing, whether you care about somebody or not, is respect. I think everybody's got to be treated with respect. And at the beginning of the relationship, you have to lay the cards on the table, and then you figure out what you can get away with. But the answer is, you try not to. You don't.
You don't what? Wait.
While you have a relationship, boy, you guys are getting me in trouble.
What don't you?
You try not to succumb to the devil's
carnal urges.
Carnal urges. Thank you very much.
That's why they've been partners for so long.
It's
Paul gives them all his best lines.
You could care about somebody and, think you're going to have a relationship for the rest of your life. it's rough. You know, you're out there 200, 300 days out of the year, and every night of you know, there are hundreds of girls with signs on them. I'm yours. You know, it's tough.
From the tone of your answer, is it correct to say that it was so tough that you could not do it?
I refuse to answer on the grounds that it may incriminate Willie.
Gene, you know, we were talking over here that, you know, it seems really awfully disrespectful to women. And for you to say that you offer respect, I mean, I had 3,000 women. I mean, what does that say about you? What does it say about the women?
I think it says,
you know, did you see?
I think it's a valid question, and although my morals may not agree with yours, don't be so quick to put them down. I think it's real upfront. None of these women, who incidentally I had a lovely time with, in any way, shape, or form thought that they were going to have a lifelong relationship. They knew what it was, and we both had a wonderful time. What's wrong with it? Sometimes all of us had a wonderful time.
I just wanted to get back to Willie again. I wanted to thank you very much for the song that you wrote, On the Road Again. We have an RV. We travel full time, all the time, and we play that every time we go on the horn. We love it. Thank you.
Yeah. When my dad was alive, my parents had an RV also, and also that was the theme song of their group. You know, the kind of the Gray Panthers. They'd be driving around all over the country. Same question. Okay, and be saying, you know, playing your song. What was the appendage you were talking about earlier?
Usually when I meet people, they say, stick out your tongue. Let's see how long it is. So, you know, it's a dumb thing to be known for, but I mean, I've written some good songs. I can sing okay. Stick out your tongue. Every time I meet somebody, hey man, Eugene, hey, let me see your tongue.
All together. 1, 2, 3.
No! All right, make room.
3, 2.
No, the floor is dirty. I can't. All right, come in for a close-up. Available for bar mitzvahs, weddings, $3.90.
Good. 10 years ago, I was the most devoted, completely idolized, devoted Kiss fan. I dressed like you.
How'd they break your heart? Go ahead, tell us.
They didn't break my heart, but they didn't break my heart. My mom would never let me go to a concert until I was about 19.
What the hell?
I noticed in the last year, all the old costumes are back. The Kiss makeup kits, they're digging them up again. You know why that is? Why all the old paraphernalia?
I think probably because, you know, something that's good comes back, you know. I think that things go in cycles, and even something that seems to become dated, if it's really good, finds its way back again. I think that really what Kiss is all about, honestly, is rock and roll. I think if Elvis had played through a big amplifier, you could have called them metal or, you know, heavy metal or Kiss kind of music. So I think ultimately, you know, guys may have skinny ties and short hair or green hair. Usually after a while, you go back to some sort of rock and roll, even if it's updated. And I think Kiss is really the living proof after 15 years and 22 albums that rock and roll survives in some sort of form.
My question's for Willie. Are you going to try for number 4? And will you take her on the road with you? And why don't you take her on the road with you?
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. It has a better chance of lasting if you stay together on the road. Yes, matter of fact.
Wait, is this, hold it, this could be news. Is this an announcement, Willie? Are you engaged?
No.
But you have someone in mind. So you have a designated fiance. I want to go as far as
a target.
A target. You know, that reminds me. Have any of you guys ever been turned down by anyone?
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Well, you start. You remember her or them?
I'm sure there's been many. You know, I mean, I tend to remember the people who said yes instead of the ones who said no.
In that kind of number, how can you remember anybody? I mean, unless, you know.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah, that was pleading the fifth. You don't remember any rejections?
Oh, sure, lots of times. But usually...
After becoming in the business or famous?
Fewer.
Gene, well, you've mentioned that you've been with quite a few women. I'm curious, have you ever truly been in love? And if you have you ever been faithful to that person for an extended period of time?
Yes, sure. More than once, of course.
What period of time? A week or?
2 weeks, what a commitment.
Paul Stanley said that, not Gene said.
I was asked backstage at a show that I saw this summer, and someone came up to me in the crowd. No. Someone came up to me in the crowd and gave me a pass and said, hey, come on backstage after the show and so on and so forth. But how do people find their way backstage at your shows?
That's one of them. How do they find, the truth is that there are as many ways as people are inventive. You could literally walk into your hotel room and she's there with a ribbon around her, or, any combinations of things you can imagine.
Were you flattered when it happened to you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
her problem was she couldn't find the way backstage.
No, I mean, it was definitely a big meat market when I found my way there, but,
Did you stay?
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure.
That's it.
Let me ask you this. Did you abandon your personal rules for, boy-girl encounters to go back there and take advantage of this invitation to be with a rock person?
Well, the actual big name star wasn't there, and there was no one I was particularly attracted to who was there. I mean, it was
so it was
all
the fact that he was the big name star that would have made it worthwhile.
Well, he is someone who I might be attracted to, but because he's an attractive person. But there was no one. The people who were there were the warm up, or the opening band, and
well, we got to wait until they're headliners. Then
I don't think.
Well, it does. Is she saying that? I mean, it sounds like you are saying that it would have made a difference if they were famous.
I think there's something very seductive about power and about fame, and obviously, the closer you get to the source, you make up your mind how far you want to go.
None of these guys are really very good looking. I just want to know what method.
What method did he use to get women? He said it. I didn't say it.
My suggestion.
But now that he mentioned it,
I would only worry if I was attractive to him.
Is it power that attracts, Gene? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of all things. I think it's power, it's sex. When you get up on stage, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think you have to be the best looking guy in the world, as obviously you are.
Stand up again, Red. Stand up.
Come on, let's stand up. Let's.
Really, I just want to say you're one of the greatest. Lord knows, I mean, a lot of people here, I'm sure, will attest to having enjoyed your music through the years. But in that movie, Honeysuckle Rose, it more or less depicted what people might think life on the road is like. Was it close? I mean, was it? I know it was only a movie, but
that's exactly like that.
Tell us more, Will. I would say. It was true to life.
Yeah. It was a life in the day of, as they say. A day in the life of.
I have a question for Gene. Did you ever write a song about any of the women that you were with?
Yes, there was a song I wrote called Plaster Caster. That was...
Not of their tongue. Not of their tongue.
The lyric goes, the plaster's getting harder, and my love is perfection, a token of my love for her collection. So, yeah.
Gene, with all these one-night stands, aren't you afraid of AIDS and the diseases that are around today?
Sure. Scared to death. I am. It's not a joke. I don't think it's a funny.
But what do you do about it?
You have to be careful, and I think when it rains, you have to wear a raincoat, and that's what you can do.
Is that a veiled reference to condoms?
Yes. I think it's obvious. I mean, it's no jokes. You've got to wear condoms, and that's all there is to it.
I was thinking maybe you could have like designer kiss condoms.
We already tried. We were going to call our last album Condemnation, but it didn't.
Were any of you married while you had these one-night stands?
No, I'm not married. I am going to have a boy in January, though.
You're going to have a baby?
Yeah.
Oh, who's mom?
Her name is Shannon Tweed. She's a...
Oh, I read about that. She's an ex-Playboy centerfold?
Yeah.
Is this your first child?
As far as I know.
How do you feel about it?
Scared to death.
Will you be a good parent, do you think?
Yeah.
You going to try?
I'm going to do my damnedest. I don't really know what it's going to be about, but I'll try to teach them, I think, the important things in life.
Which are?
Why?
To me, the important things in life are don't hurt anybody else, try to have your own sense of integrity, and don't really pay too much attention to what other people think. And the rest is not important.
How many kids do you have, Will?
I have 5.
And they're grown now.
Yeah, I have 8 grandchildren.
8 grandchildren. Are they fans? Are they fans of Grandpa?
Yeah, they are. Of course, they have their own rock and roll fans too, but
Did they call you Willie or Grandpa?
Grandpa.
Willie, will you sing a song for us?
If you'll sing a verse with me. On the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again. Big finish. And I can't wait to get on the road again.
Here's a scenario for you. Gene, you have a little baby girl. She grows up. She wants to go out with a rock and roll guy. What do you tell her?
How old is she?
18, 16, 17, whatever old they are when they go backstage in Europe.
18. Have a good time. Be careful.
How judgmental back there. Disgusting. Willie, what's left undone in your life?
Nothing I hope.
What goals do you want to achieve that you haven't yet?
Well, my major goal is tomorrow night to play a good concert up at Westbury Music Theater.
What about in the broad view?
I don't try to look too far ahead. I live one day at a time and take it as it comes and try to enjoy it. And I suggest everybody do that.
Same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Willie Nelson. In from the cold, but not for long. Stand up. Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Willie Nelson. Thank you. Thank you. You're very good. Thanks. Great.